Hello, I'm Ren, X-My Carded X, Connor, and welcome back to Paintober D23. Today we're painting one of the Oni suits from the Eternal Dynasty. This guy was troublesome. This was probably a good 7 hours because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was trying to figure out a lot of what I wanted these guys to be painted as. So forgive me for my imbalance of thought in what I wanted to do and how it was executed. I did have the painted models on my monitor so I could figure out as to what I wanted them to be similar to in a way, and I think red was the play, don't get me wrong, but I very much enjoyed more so the idea of embellishing kind of some stuff on it. Basically, like somebody would do to a tank or a helicopter or something along those lines. Give it some personality for whoever is inside of this basically walking APC. So I did that, and I did in fact do some crazy work here. You're gonna see right now actually what I start doing here. So I am using a Calidor Sky, I believe that is, maybe a Lothern Blue, don't know right now, don't remember it right now. But anyways, it's a very, very bright blue color for this sort of stuff. And what I wanted to do was, for some of it, because they seem to be kind of like water themed or crab themed in one way or another, I wanted it to seem a little bit like coral. In some way, but I mainly wanted it to look as if it were blue flame on the model. So I'm not the best person at freehanding stuff, so forgive me for I have sinned on that front because I just decided, hey, you know what, I'm gonna try and do this, so let's see. But yeah, I mean it's okay. I think by the end of it, the model actually popped quite a lot with that. And I would have done my multiple highlights and shading and all that stuff. But honestly, I wound up just getting a little bit tired of painting it after 7 hours, which is mainly my fault because, you know, could have done it in less time if I wasn't so indecisive about what I wanted on the front of it. And then it's just, that's just kind of how it turned out to be, I suppose. Here I just thinned it down quite a lot so that way it would run into the recesses here on the little emblem on the shoulder pad, which honestly, by the end, does look pretty good. I do a little bit of a highlight on that as it goes up, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, look at that. Look at all the little spikies. It's on the legs. It's on the little uh, it's on the knee pads, not the knee pads. It's on the front armor piece. Um, oh, I don't know if you heard that, but it's been thundering recently quite heavily, so that's been kind of rough. Anyways, on to this model. Looks badass. I very much enjoy it. He's got some wicked stuff. I tried to make it as unique as possible while still having a little bit of a ground in the army regular. So overall, not that bad. Not that bad. I do stuff that I would normally do. Um, and I did a lot of this for whenever I was painting the psychophage. But I'm just doing this really chunky highlight on it. And maybe at some point I'll go back to this guy and give him the proper, you know, another highlight just so that way it kind of pops it a little bit more. I think maybe that's what I need to do. I just wound up being in a mood, being in a mood. I've not been sleeping well recently, so a lot of these videos are kind of just there, you know? Feel as though I have to speak a certain amount, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. I do want to do more painting videos after Paintober ends, but I just have to do it in a way that isn't going to be so collapsing in my brain. Obviously, I do want to paint more. I think is the biggest thing is I want to be able to get a whole bunch of my a whole bunch of my models that are just straight up gray or black primed that have been there for, God knows how long. I'm pretty sure I've got a whole Deep Rock Galactic board game thing that's, I'm pretty sure they're fully primed. So, yeah, maybe I'll paint some of those up. I like kind of how they wind up. They look pretty interesting. Technically, I can use them for D&D. They just have to be painted. That's step one, painted. Next step, figure out where it's gonna go in the cavern. Figure out where it's gonna go and everything like that. I mean, like these guys, honestly, I'm a little bit excited to have them painted up and everything as well, because they're going to wind up looking similar to what I had planned for the police in a Starfinder game, which might turn into just D&D but space, because honestly that's kind of the only system I know how to run, and I mean, I'll just run it however which way it needs to be run. That's kind of the biggest thing. I do highlight on the fire here with, this might be Lothern Blue. The other stuff is Caledor Sky. And I try and trace those kind of little tippies and edges where I have the other fire set, so that way it looks as though it's kind of gradual in where it's heightening. Not bad though. It looks kind of interesting. It definitely looks better, the end result, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those that I never really expected what it was going to look like. Oh, that thunder is nasty. Oh my goodness, dude. It keeps getting closer. I'm hoping I can finish this video without it just crashing down on me, but that's alright. I tried to thin this down a reasonable amount while keeping it still fairly thick, so that way it would run off the brush, but it wouldn't be too much of a burden by getting it on certain places. Basically enough where it would run off and be like almost a more liquid than what you would imagine, but here I do some crazy stuff. I do have one contrast paint, and it is Druchii Violet. And so I was like, I want to do some fancy stuff here. And I wind up just painting this straight up white, and I throw some Druchii Violet on it, which I think it looks pretty good, honestly. It turned out better than I had expected it to, which is pretty nifty. I do enjoy when stuff actually works compared to when I would normally paint things. But also, I don't really use a whole lot of shade during this whole painting session, so it turned out better looking than anything I've painted recently, because I'm just really bad with shades, so. But that's okay. Everybody has their own little thing that they can't figure out or deal well with. Mine was just that liquid is tough to work around. But yeah, here we're throwing some of that Druchii Violet on. The thing is I thinned it down a little bit just on the palette, and I kind of learned a little bit later that you want it to be fairly gloopy, I suppose. So that was a little bit on my part. That was rough on my part. But otherwise, yeah, look at that. And the vents on the thing gives it like kind of a fancy little tone. It definitely looks better whenever I just straight up throw it on from the pot. I don't know why I didn't do that at first. I was thinking about it, but I was like, I don't want it to be like whenever I use shades. So, here's what it is. But yeah, those turn out pretty good. I could have done a better highlight on those. And again, I probably will go back to this model because there's a lot of stuff I'm like, you know what? I don't like how... And at the end screen, there's even pieces that I don't even have painted that I'm like, oh, I have to go back through and properly paint that at some point. But I don't know if I'll make that a video. I don't know if it really deserves a video. I guess if people want to watch me fix up the model to where it's a little bit more fancy looking, more of a standard, but maybe I'll just do that and it'll be like a 2-minute video and we'll call it a day. It doesn't have to be for Paintober. It'll just be Hey, you know this model I painted? Here, it actually looks like it's supposed to now. Isn't that fancy? But I'm throwing some lead belcher in the arms and stuff here. I was going to use Grey Knight Steel, but I felt like that was going to be too high of a color. Also, I didn't paint his feet. I didn't paint the bottom of his feet because I'm going to just file them down a little bit so that way they have a little bit of roughness to them. So whenever I glue them onto the bases, they don't get, or they don't stop, like, from connecting to the bottom of it. But you're not going to be able to see the bottom of the feet anyways because they're going to be, oh, big thunder. Oh my God, that was terrifying. Apparently they wanted to see their feet. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I didn't know. But yeah, we'll just grind the feet down, but that'll be all right. Oh my gosh, that was heavy. That felt crazy. Oh. Yep, there's more. Oh my God. Thunder is whack, dude. Holy. Anyways, in the little joint pieces and stuff, I also throw a little bit of gold in there so that way it looks nice and fancy. And they have a difference on those ball joints. Pretty nifty. I probably could have cut out a lot more of this, I feel. It wasn't too fantastic. I was kind of finished by that point, I think. Just model this whole dude. This dragon head was really cool, though. I was basing it off of that little captain dude that has the flag on his back. I felt like that would be very cool, but on a larger scale. So it's all golden. It's all gilded. Sweet. I didn't paint the top of this canister as well. I didn't know what I wanted that to look like. Oh. Big Thunder 2.0. Man, it is. And I don't even know if it's raining. It might just be thunderstorming, but that's okay. That's okay. And then I believe this is the swap for, yeah, I throw Retributor, not Retributor. Well, first of all, Retributor. Second of all, Reichel and Fleshshade, because I like how that turns out. It's almost old, like aged gold, aged gilded pieces that are pretty neat to me. I like how they look. And eventually I do swap from that and I throw on some Nuln Oil on all of the little lead belcher pieces, as well as the front of the dragon's head, because I think that's supposed to be a flamethrower. So I think I wanted that to just be darkened by that, because obviously any metal, under a whole bunch of heat eventually just blackens or turns red hot. So, and I could have done a red hot, but I just felt like that black would have done a much better cool look to it. So, yeah. I also did it for all the little lead belcher pieces because I wanted to pick some of those little inside pieces out better. So here we're going to look at the model. Oh my. There's the rain. Yeah, finally kicked up. Wow. Very neat. Model looks pretty cool. He winds up just pretty sweet looking in total. How long do I have on this that I need to cut out here? Damn. All right, one moment. Okay, so it stopped thundering a little bit and it stopped raining a little bit. But anyways, we're showing off the model. He turned out pretty okay. There's probably going to be a little bit of silence here because I wound up being desynced from the video being too long. So I've been Ren, X-My Card Dex, or Connor. This has been Paintober D23 and an Oni battle suit who looks pretty alright in my opinion. I'll see you in whatever's next. Take care.